You ever have one of those days where you wake up thinking you're finally done, finally over the hill, and then life just reaches out, grabs you by the collar, and drags you straight back into the fight? Yeah, that was me. 2 months, I spent 2 whole months clearing brush, grading dirt, hauling gravel, building a road to my own farm on my own land, every penny out of my own pocket, every blister on my own hands. And the very morning I finished the HOA, put up a steel gate right in the middle of it and told me I'd have to pay $100 a month just to use the road I built. My own road. Thought I'd just roll over, give up my piece of ground. They were dead wrong. See, I was raised a certain way. My name's Cole Carter. I'm 41, been working this patch of earth in the north part of Clearbrook County ever since I could walk behind my old man, right where the tree line gives way to wheat fields, and the air smells more like honest dust and wild grass than asphalt or lawn fertilizer. My dad put his back into this ground, and my granddad before him. Never had much, no trust funds or fancy houses on the beach, but we had this dirt, and by God, it meant something. But somewhere along the line, the world filled up with people who don't get what that means, who think a form, a committee, or some neighborhood rule is more important than a lifetime's work. That's where this starts, not with anger, not even with revenge, just a road. The only way in and out of my farm ran through Clearbrook Meadows, a pretty suburban sprawl with cream-colored houses, perfect hedges, and an HOA that saw themselves as the Vatican of lawn care. Never minded the looks folks staring at my truck like I'd driven a wild animal into their kingdom. But their rules, no room for real work, no room for dust or diesel or reality. They banned heavy vehicles from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Let that sink in. Banned farm trucks during farm hours. So if I wanted to haul feed, move hay, deliver seed, or get produce to market, it was either after dark or not at all. For a farm that's a slow death. I tried to play nice. I tried working around it early mornings, late nights, pleading my case. But crops don't wait for HOA meetings, and livestock sure don't care about community tranquility. Money bled out. Every week I was late or missed a run. Buyers dropped off. I found myself staring at bills on the kitchen table, thinking about how my dad would have felt if he could see the farm falling apart. That's when I remembered the old road back behind the far pasture, overgrown, nearly forgotten, half on my property, half a public right-of-way the county hadn't touched in decades. It'd been a service road way back in the 60s before the state put in a new highway. I realized sitting there outside the HOA office, if I didn't build that road, there wouldn't be a farm left to save. So I got up, drove straight to my daughter Ellie's place in town. She's studying civil engineering at the community college, sharp as they come. Got that wildfire kind of heart from her mom. I asked if she wanted to help me resurrect an old road. She didn't even ask why, just told me to show her where to start. We called Lane my best friend since high school, the kind of guy who could fix a diesel with baling wire and willpower. He brought the gear, a grader, a brush cutter, and an old dozer that sounded mean as sin. So there we were, three of us staring at a wall of thorns, vines, and saplings thick as fence posts. Lane spits in the dirt and goes, "Hell of a road you picked." I told him it's the only one they can't control. And we got to work. Clearing brush under the summer sun ain't glamorous. Swing cut, drag, repeat. Ellie's out there measuring grades. Lane's grading the surface. I'm hauling rock from the quarry, day by day, foot by foot. That old road started to breathe again. I won't lie, it was ugly at first. Hard, bloody, back-breaking. But there's peace in honest work, peace that settles deep in your ribs, something nobody can take. By evening, we'd sit on the truck tailgate, ham sandwiches, dust everywhere, arms burning, just looking at a raw strip of earth. To anyone else, it looked like nothing. To us, it was freedom. Ellie wipes her brow one afternoon and says, "People think roads are for going somewhere, but really they're for coming home." Lane snorts, says he'll paint that on the barn. We laugh, tired, honest. Little by little, the road took shape. Lane brought in the grader. Ellie checked slopes and runoffs, made sure the rain wouldn't undo us next spring. Truck after truck of gravel. Eventually, there it was, a brand new gravel lane running from the pasture out to the county highway. I remember the moment it stopped being just a project. First time I drove the truck down it, no speed bumps, no neighbors with cameras, no feeling like I was trespassing on my own life. Just me, my road, my rules. That day I got home 2 hours early, 2 hours I'd been losing for months. Sat with Ellie and Lane, beers in hand, watching the sun set on the gravel. For the first time in a long time, it felt like I was steering my own life again. I thought that was it, that the worst was over. I should have known better. You ever notice how the minute you build something good, someone comes around wanting to take it away? The first time I saw her, well, heard her, really, she didn't belong. There's a sound to a farm road. Work boots, old trucks, maybe the wind in the wire. But this click, 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 high heels. Marlene Buchanan, president of the HOA. Didn't know her name yet, but knew the type. Clipboard like an extra limb smile, like she already decided you don't belong. She gives me her speech rules, permits, HOA jurisdiction. I tell her the land's mine, county's confirmed. It surveys right here, HOA ends 71 feet east. She blinks slow like her brain's rebooting. Our maps don't show that, she says. I shrug. Then your maps are wrong. She doesn't argue, just walks away, heels ticking like a clock counting down to trouble. Lane Spitz says I've just stepped on a rattlesnake in church clothes. He wasn't wrong. A few days later, the road was truly finished. Gravel-packed, drainage cut, edges tamped. No fanfare, just a morning where the air felt still. I eased the old Chevy onto the new gravel freedom under the tires. Ellie filmed me driving just to remember, not for the world. I took my time that day, no more hiding, no more planning my life around rules made by folks who'd never dug a fence post. Sun was still up when I got back. Ellie said, "Feels different now." She wasn't talking about the road. She meant the freedom, the knowing we didn't need permission anymore. But peace like that doesn't last when someone else thinks they own your freedom. While we rested, someone else was plotting. One morning I hear metal on metal, hammer steel, too deliberate for farm work. Lane calls me, voice low. "You better get down here." There it was, a steel gate, not some flimsy chain, but a full-on commercial barricade keypad, and all Clearbrook Access Management, LLC. Road use fee, $100 a month. Not my name, not the county's, just some shell company. Turns out Marlene's husband Gregory set it up. I didn't blow up. I took pictures, measured everything, collected evidence, because once you've got proof, you're not just angry, you're dangerous. Lane expected a fight. I just said, "Get the truck." We drove home in silence. That road, which felt like freedom a day before, now felt like a noose. Next thing I know, flyers are popping up. Dangerous farmer endangering community safety, with my face photoshopped like a horror movie villain. Facebook's on fire. Old neighbors finger-pointing anonymous emails flooding the county, we fear for the children. It was all about control dressed up as concern. But I didn't fight back with yelling. I fought with paperwork. Printed every post, every flyer, screenshots, usernames, stacked it all in binders. Ellie turned our kitchen into an office. Lane kept track of vehicles at the gate. We called the sheriff, filed for unlawful obstruction. County deed, old maps, parcel numbers. Grace's voice in my head. Bring receipts, make them pay attention. Neighbors noticed. Some helped Judith the pie lady, brought old notes of what folks said at the store. Others told us not to make trouble, but evidence kept piling up. Then came sabotage late one night. 2 men in a flatbed dumped broken concrete, cinder blocks, wire trash, blocked our old entry. I didn't yell, didn't rush down there. Ellie filmed it clean, calm evidence, not anger. Next morning I cleared it out with the loader. That's what real rage is, work, not noise. Deputies came, took pictures, wrote a report, but it was clear unless we made it louder than the HOA, we'd be on our own. But if they thought we'd quit, they didn't know what kind of stubborn lives and a family that buries their dead on the land. And now it was time for a real move. I didn't call a lawyer, I called Grace Holloway. She's the kind who walks like she's already seen the ending. Gray Lincoln boots that had been in both pastures and courtrooms, eyes that don't flinch. She looked over our stacks of evidence, read it all. They don't have jurisdiction. That gate is unlawful obstruction. County laws on your side. She wrote up the demand, cease and desist county petition, HOA funds misuse, then 2 words, discovery phase, which meant we dragged their financials, emails, and every shady deal into the light. Don't give them a headline, she said, looking at me. They want you angry. Don't. Just win. Meanwhile, Ellie posts a simple video, no commentary, just the gate, the sign, the fee. It spreads. First a few shares, then a few thousand, then local news, then TikTok. Folks from everywhere chime in. One comment hits. If the gate's on private land, tear it down. Not a lawyer, not a politician, just a regular person saying what everyone was thinking. Judith, the pie lady, drops off a bag at our gate, USB printed emails, meeting notes, anonymous but clear. Marlene's been lying to her own board. That's when I knew this wasn't just our fight. It was everyone's. HOA calls an emergency meeting, packed clubhouse flags out front, news vans parked like buzzards. Marlene runs the show, tries to spin the maps, overlays jurisdiction. But Grace stands up, lays out the real plat maps, the county's boundaries, the denied reclassification. Marlene's husband's shell company, HOA, dues, funneled without board approval. Judith stands up. Turns out Marlene hasn't even been a legal president for 2 years. The room breaks power, leaving not with a shout, just a quiet shift. I spoke not to fight, just to say the truth. I built the road because I needed to get home, not to prove a point. I'm not leaving, not ever. The board voted Marlene out. No applause, just relief. Then the courtroom. Gray walls, coffee like battery acid. Grace walks in ready. Their lawyers spin the story, safety, misunderstanding. Grace lays out the proof, jurisdiction, denied filings, the shell company, financial abuse, internal memos. The judge, tough as a fence post, just listens. I stand and say my piece. All I want is the right to go home without paying someone who never earned it. The judge's ruling, gate removed in 72 hours, HOA barred damages, awarded, investigation opened. 1 strike of the gavel done. No celebration. Just a county truck rolling up 3 workers unloading concrete saws. They cut the gate free, no drama, no cameras, just the sound of steel giving way. Ellie asked what we should call the road, and I didn't have to think Grayson Trail for my father. The county put up the sign a week later. I never took a picture, never posted, never bragged. I just drove slow windows down, knowing for once there was nothing standing between me and home. So you tell me, when someone tries to put a gate on your freedom, on your right to your own ground, what would you do? Let them, or stand up even when the whole world says you can't win? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share your story. Because justice, real justice, starts with one person saying, not today. If you believe in that kind of stubborn, you know where to find me.